Thanatopsis by William Cullen Bryant. Summary. In Thanatopsis, William Cullen Bryant talks about nature's ability to make us feel better. Bryant tells us that nature can make pain less painful. It can even lighten our dark thoughts about death. He tells us that when we start to worry about death, we should go outside and listen to the voice of nature. For people that go out into nature, nature will ease any suffering for him, and when a person is about to die and starts to have lots of bad feelings about it, they should go out into nature, and they shall be calmed, and they will know that they will be mixed back into the earth. Thanatopsis is also about how death is something everyone must do alone, then says that nature will be there to comfort you. Every person who has ever lived in the ground, or the great tomb of man, as Bryant puts it, and everyone who is alive will be soon dead and in the ground too. However, a person shouldn't be scared of death when it comes time, because they should go to death with trust, like one who lies down to a pleasant dream. The poem ends by telling us to think of death like a happy, dream-filled sleep. Analysis. The poem Thanatopsis, written by William Cullen Bryant, is a wonderful literary work which explores the often controversial questions of life. Within his well-written lines, Bryant attempts to show the relationship between death's eternal questions and the ongoing cycle of nature and life. Throughout the poem, Bryant creates images which connect death and sleep. Once the reader gets halfway through the poem, they discover that Bryant uses these words almost interchangeably. In the second stanza he writes, "All that tread the globe are but a handful to the tribes that slumber in its bosom." Instead of referring to death, he uses the word slumber. He also uses in line 57, "In their last sleep the dead reign there alone." And in line 66, referring to death and burial, he writes, "And make their bed with thee." This connection between death and sleep creates an intriguing metaphor which adds depth and meaning to the poem. By using this strange metaphor, Bryant wishes to suggest his faith in the afterlife. Sleep is a time of rest. It allows preparation for the next day or event, and by relating this definition of death, Bryant gives new insight on one's fate after earthly existence. When identifying sleep with death, Bryant gives death many characteristics of slumber. People generally wake from sleep, and Bryant expands this occurrence to death. Death could simply be a time of rest that retires the bodies of earthly beings and allows the soul to wake. Upon waking, the soul is freed and enters a new plane of existence. This idea of spiritual waking is demonstrated in Thanatopsis. In line 31, Bryant describes the grave as thine eternal resting place. Bryant says that your body becomes part of the earth. In lines 50 and 51, Bryant writes, "Take the wings of morning, pierce the Barcan wilderness." The wings in this statement symbolize a spiritual, angelic being, and the morning suggests a time of waking. After waking, the angelic being breaks through the confinement of the human grave and continues its existence elsewhere. These lines indicate Bryant's belief in an afterlife. After reflective mediation in the wilderness, Bryant comes to terms with death. He knows death is a conclusion to the material world, but this conclusion is a type of rebirth. Bryant believes death prepares the soul for its next journey.